So, from those of you who saw my last video, you would have noticed that I wasn't having a good time. So if you haven't seen my last video, go check it out to catch up with how bad things have gone, really. So in this section, or this episode, I'm going to be removing the tank, dropping the tank down. I had a couple of my mates who are fabricators come round and to sort of work out whether we can get over the problem I've got, and I'll show you guys now. So this is where the tow arm connects to the rear trailer arm that comes along here, and they are rotten. The bolt's snapped and there's a captive nut inside this casing, so I'm trying to find a way of replacing this. In order to get that off, I've got to drop the tank down so we can gain access and make it all safe so I don't catch fire to my car in a garage. Same goes for this side, it's just as bad. The captive nut has fallen down and it's actually inside here, but it's all chewed up and rotten, really weak and flimsy. So I'm just going to replace them, whether that be with an OEM one if I can find one, or we're going to fabricate up a bracket of our own. I'm still on the hunt for some rear trailer arms. The ones I've taken off are just garbage, really. All the bolts are seized. Bush is absolutely rotten. I've got replacement bushes. That's why I was taking these off in the first place. But I need new rear trailer arms. Ideally ABS 424s rear discs. So if you know anyone with some, let me know. First things first, I've got to remove the fuel tank, disconnect the fuel pump, all the electrics of it and that, and we'll go from there. I've WD-40'd up everything underneath over and over again just to make it as easy as possible, but no doubt I'll have to either cut the bolts off or something. So there's 4 screws, Phillips, that I'm just going to remove. Sorry if the footage doesn't come out as well. It's really dark in the back of my car, so I'm just using artificial light. I think that's the fuel sender pot with a fuel level gauge on it. It runs to, and that's the fuel pump. I don't think this has ever been touched before. It's all fairly standard. Wow, yeah, like brand new under here still. Just going to pull all the wiring through this grommet and get it out of the way. Just like so. Now there's 2 different clips. There's like a, I don't even know what you'd call that, just normal pipe clip, and then there's this sort of push lock clip, so you've got to clamp both sides of this clip and push it back. Sometimes they can be a right nightmare. That one feels like it's brittle and broken. I tend to squeeze the 2 little tabs either side and try and pry it back, but they are fiddly. I think this top one has actually snapped on me, which could be a problem. should have really released the fuel pressure in the tank. I'm just going to whip the fuel cap off the tank, release the pressure. There you go. So yeah, helpful tip. If you ever pull the fuel lines of a tank and you've been running the car, there will be a slight bit of pressure in there, or whether it's heat, just a hot day, just open the fuel cap, let the pressure out, and that shouldn't throw fuel out everywhere on you, because it does get smelly. I tend to find with these pipes that are like on this clip, you spin them to break them off. Just like that. So that's the fuel tank disconnected now. There's no wiring, anything connected to it, so you should just be able to undo the 2 straps underneath the tank, and we'll be able to drop the tank down. So that's everything inside the car we need to do. We'll go get ourselves set up outside, and we'll see if we can remove the straps without snapping the bolts or rounding them off. So other than the fuel feed and return, the fuel level sender wiring and the fuel pump wiring inside the car, we also have the fuel filler neck that runs where you fill the car up, down and along the side here into the tank. So you got the fuel filler and the breather, so I'll have to take all these plastics off, disconnect those as well, and then we'll get to put in the tank now. That one's covered in underseal, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a, oh yeah, scrape it all off with a screwdriver. I think that one's all stuck again. I found an easier technique than unscrewing them. Just chisel the head off them. Just like so. So as you can see there, that one there's a fuel filler neck. The one above it's the fuel tank breather, just to stop the tank from pressurising as such. Maybe I didn't need to take off this top piece, but I am eventually going to wire wheel the bottom of this and give it a quick under seal, and it is good to see what the condition of it is like, and if I do need a fuel filler neck, but it's holding on for the minute. So I'll undo these. I might have to like move the clip back, and as the tank's coming down, and then slide those off, because sometimes they are a bit perished. So common for this clip here, you go to pry it back and it just breaks in half, so you're better off just twisting it off. And I'll replace this clip here, and probably this one, with a Jubilee clip. It's just a lot easier than faffing around with these clips. I've never really been a fan of these clips from the start anyhow. Yeah, ruined. Sometimes you find that the pipe's actually corroding inside the rubber, as it is now, so I'll probably have to get a screwdriver down in there, pry it open, get some WD-40 to leave it up, so it can slide off easier. So now the next step, I'm going to get the jack underneath the tank here, and we're going to try and undo the tank straps. There's two 14mm or 12mm that just run the straps up and mount them to the chassis. Fingers crossed that these will actually come undone, and I won't have to cut them off because I don't have anything to cut them off of today. So we'll see how it goes. I think first of all, actually, I'll try and loosen the tank straps off, then I'll slide the jack in and support it, because else the jack's going to get in my way. So I'll just show you guys a little bit more in detail as to what I'm trying to undo. These nuts here on this thread hook into the chassis, and these straps run along all the way down the tank and bolt on down there. So I can either unbolt them there, and then that means sliding the tank towards the front of the car with less room, or hopefully I can undo these rear ones just enough so I can unhook them, and then I can bring the tank backwards and out, which I'd prefer to do, but it'd be even better if I can undo both of them, but you can guarantee one of them's going to snap. You know you're off to a good start when you've got to hammer your socket onto the thread, onto the nut, sorry. So I'm going to give this nut 3 good attempts. Option 1, the old ratchet. Option 2, my 3/8 impact gun, good old D-welt. Option 3, big MP, all the Ugga Duggers, send you all the way home. And then there is an option 4, I suppose. It won't come undone at all, it will snap, and I'll have to get new tank straps. So I'm guessing either way the tank's coming down. So we'll start with option 1. Oh god, the top of it's just bending already. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just twisting. Oh, but it feels like it's coming undone. Nah, it's just twisting and shearing the thread. I'll try and get a better... the light on this is so hard to capture. It's gonna snap. So let's just keep going. Oh, there we go. Right, I'm gonna have to support the tank now before it comes down on top of my head. Okay, so what's happening now is the thread that this nut is on is now spinning in the chassis. It's a hook shaped piece that hooks into the chassis, and then the nut runs up the hook. So we've straightened out the hook and it's just spinning inside the chassis now. So I think I might have to give it a go at removing it from the front of the front of the car, and then unhooking the strap after. So we'll give that a go. So I've managed to get one of the straps down where I've unbolted at the front. The J-hook I was on about, the side that's spinning, basically what's happened, I've undone here and it's straightened this out, so it's just spinning inside the chassis. So I'll undo the other side if it doesn't snap. The other side came out, this side came out nicely, so if all goes well, I should be able to get the tank down. And I'll just have to replace the tank straps. They look a bit crusty anyway. And whilst I'm here, I'm replacing all the arms and suspension. I may as well refresh the lot, make it last long. So I'll do that now. Dropped the torch in my face for the 50th time today. Crikey. And there we go. Happy days. So now the tank is coming down, sat on the jack. I've got to try and get these pipes off. That's one of the last things holding it all up. So just grab a pair of pipe grips, see if I can just spin the pipe on the old collar a bit to free it up a little bit, hopefully without splitting the pipe. There we go. Try and loosen it up. I'm going to get my screwdriver and open up a little gap and try and get some WD-40 as far as I can down there. Gorgeous. And then just like that, pipes off. So when you've got the right tools and the right technique, it is actually quite easy. But you could spend ages there and you could split your pipe if you don't, do it correctly. So now I'm just going to do the breather one now. Try and use the same technique if these pliers fit in there. Loosen it off. Put the screwdriver in there to make way for some WD-40. I'll just try and might get a pry bar for this one. Just like so. Alright, now if I've undone everything correctly, I should be able to lower the tank down. Might take a little bit of shuffling around. Rock the wire head. Handbrake cable to the face. Feels like it's caught on something. And mind your head, just smashed on that shock. Alright, so there was a couple more pipes that were connected at the back of the tank that I should have disconnected first. But I'll show you those in a second. But there you have it. Tankers down us. So I got halfway taking the tank down and there was something catching around here. And I'm unsure what this actually is, but there's like a little plastic unit where a pipe comes in, feeds round, and then it goes into the tank at the back. But that's different to the fuel supply and return and the fuel sender. So I'm not sure what that is actually. Sure, you guys can tell me in the comments what it is, but I just disconnected that, and then I could drop the whole tank down. And the overall condition underneath here is actually really quite good. A little bit crusty under there, but I suppose, as I said earlier, whilst the tank's down, I'm just going to fully strip it all down, pull the brake lines, pull the fuel lines down, get everything out of the way, and I'm just going to wire wheel the whole lot back, primer it, under seal it, probably get it all re-seam sealed as well. Once it's in primer, then I'll seam seal everything. So now I've got the tank down, I think I'm just going to continue pulling the shocks down, rear anti-roll bar, get the handbrake cables out of the way, and just basically strip the rest of the car down, get it ready for a wire wheel so we can start restoring it. Can't go wrong with a bit of WD. I've got no one to catch it at the bottom, so RIP. Whoops. They're actually pretty new shocks, I believe. In the MOT history, they were replaced not long ago. Same again for the other side. Probably help if I put it on off rather than on. So these are in pretty good nick. I think they have been replaced not long ago, just the same as the shocks. So I might, depending on my budget, reuse these for a moment and buy everything that I really do need, because it's going to be fairly expensive replacing absolutely everything. But we'll see how it goes. So I've removed both of the rear upper camber arms. Now we're going to unbolt the sway bars, or the sway bar, shall I say. There is only one. I'll be lucky if none of these snap, but if they do, it's no biggie. I can get to either side of this plate, so I can always just nut and bolt it if they do snap. Replace it with some new galvanised ones. Also, I've had my mullet trimmed up. What do you think? She's getting there. Peachy. Well, there's a first. Okie dokies. There we go. One anti-roll bar, delito. So I'm going to call it a day at that. I said I was going to pull the calipers off, but I think I'm going to wait. I'll bring my little plunger in, or pull all the fluid out of the reservoir, and then I'll take the brake lines off, because else there's going to be fluid everywhere, and I'm not in the mood to be cleaning that up. Overall, good little session today. Tank's down, shocks are off, pulled the front, I keep saying front upper camber arms, pulled the rear camber arms off, and now I've just got to pull off a few little niggly bits like the fuel filler neck, rest of the handbrake lines that I cut off, and just a few little brackets really, and then we can get into wire wheeling it and drilling it out, wire drilling it all off. I'm not looking forward to it, but it is one of those jobs that once you've done it and it's all fresh painted, it's really worth it. So once again, before I close it off here, if anyone knows of any rear trailing arms off of a VTI Civic or MB6 VTI Civic, I'm after basically full rear suspension setup, lower control arms, trailing arms, front upper camber arms, rear upper camber arms, toe arms, pretty much everything to rebuild a whole rear end of a Civic. So if you know of anybody, just let me know. Be muchly appreciated. So till next time guys, have a great night.